Morning everyone, I am Andrea Robledo and this is International News. Today we'll talk about a small island in Africa that's called Mauritius. Carolina Vélez is at this precise moment in the island, a very interesting destination. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone, I am currently in an African paradise called Mauritius. This nation is an island in the Indian Ocean at the southeast coast of the African continent, east of Madagascar. This is an amazing place to visit, extremely tourist, but it has not always been calm. Let's talk about its historical context. The island has been colonized by three different empires: Portugal in the 16th century, France, and British in 1810. That is why Mauritius is seen as a new country, because it has been independent for only 53 years. But its potential is recognized worldwide. Mauritius has achieved to become from a minier to a medium economy with a lot of international participation. Now, let's talk about the international behavior of this country. At first, as it was colonized by European empires, we can evidence a realistic behavior, where it was primordial to protect itself. Territorial protection, close economy, the need for power, expand to other colonies, and authority with little individual freedom. After the independence of Mauritius, the behavior changed a lot. The island now shows a liberalism and complex interdependence behavior, where it tends to promote trade, democracy, and the inclusion of the opinion of the people. Nowadays, Mauritius searches to belong to international communities and shows itself free and tolerant to make social, economic, and environmental treaties with other countries. Its priorities are the natural resources and technology, being reflected in the agriculture, aquaculture, marine biotechnology, and other maritime services and researches. These researches have made them leaders in the water management in Africa, in its effort to strive against the lack of it in some regions.
Thank you, Carolina. Now we'll take a look at the economic area of Mauritius. It is indeed incredible how powerful this tiny country is. Please, Jhonner, tell us more about it.
To start, it's even hard to believe that such a young and small country is a strong leader of the SIDS, Small Island Developing States, being the environment one of its main concerns. But its international participation does not stop there. It is also part of the AUACP, European Union, African, Caribbean, Pacific, which is the biggest relationship of the AU with any other developing state. It's member of the Commonwealth of Nations, the UN, and commercially is part of agreements like COMESA, that is for a broader, more harmonized and competitive market with better use of its natural resources, AGOA, which provides eligible sub-Saharan African countries with duty-free access to a US market, and SADC, which provides strategic expertise and coordinates harmonization of policies and strategies to accelerate regional integration and sustainable development. It's important to add that the island was extremely affected by the pandemic, especially due to the reduction of tourism, which is one of its main sources of income among fishing, mining, and sugar production. Its internal coordination helped to ease up the situation and avoid a general crisis, but it highlighted the need of diversification that the country presents. Mauritius cannot be considered yet an emerging market, but it has all the potential to become one in the future. Next to South Africa, they show us that the underestimated African countries can make a difference in international contexts such as socio-economical and political. Thank you.
Mauritius' foreign policy is conditioned to the fact that it is a very small island, usually forgotten, that has scarce resources and few population. This created the necessity of relying on international and regional alliances to satisfy its needs. Mauritius still has tight relations with countries like France and the United Kingdom, regardless of being their past colony, and this can be evidenced in the close relation with the Reunion Island, that's part of France, and also being part of the Commonwealth Organization led by the British. India, China, and South Africa are other main countries with which Mauritius trades and allies, South Africa being the biggest alliance in the continental land. Diplomacy has become a great tool that Mauritians have mastered to have good relations with the biggest countries in the world. Leading international alliances among South African countries or islands has become the way in which the country can be visible, especially when it comes to topics that Mauritius really stands for, such as climate change, development, and cooperation between small countries. A weak point regarding relations with neighboring African countries are the tax rates for foreign companies. Mauritius is known for being one of the most aggressive tax havens in the world, and the problem of double imposing is that the other nations are left with lower fiscal income, so governments then cannot invest enough in education, public services, or health. On the other hand, Mauritius strongly depends on imported fossil fuels to produce energy and also on imported rice. This means that they are price takers, and every change in these really affects the balance of trade. Therefore, food security and energy supply is compromised. Speaking of human rights, the Mauritian LGBTQ+ community has been very oppressed by the government. There are laws that prohibit homosexual relations, and they have low electoral participation because they feel excluded. Women are also a vulnerable group in terms of labor opportunities, wage difference, and protection from domestic violence.
Now, Juan Pablo will tell us more about what's trending in Mauritius. Please, Pablo, tell us more about it.
Thanks, Andrea. Now I will tell you a little bit of what's happening. Mauritius is facing some socioeconomic changes by the contingency of COVID-19, and one of their priorities and most significant changes at now are population growth and its effects on forest land, education as a support to the economy and environment. As an island, Mauritius has limited land resources. Due to a prohibitive cost of real estate, people in low-income groups cannot buy land for residential purposes. This situation will worsen in the next 2 decades, and more forest land will be sacrificed to accommodate housing development. Here, in this graphic, you can see the transformation of the forest in the past. Furthermore, sustainable development of people is also a must. Mauritius is comparable to Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, with a robust and modernized education system. Billionaire and economists state that with the current global situation slowdown, the annual GDP growth of Mauritius is projected at 3.5% for 2021 compared to the 3.9% for 2019 and 2020. It will be therefore imminent for the government to uphold productivity through education training and cross training to ensure that the country progresses in the established GDP growth path. The graphic shows us what were the projections and how it really worked. For being a young country, it is relatively advanced and developed. Lately, it's been the place for the richest people to stay into the work on their businesses in Africa or to stay for a good. As the concept of national security is widening, Mauritius has been able to tackle important issues of great importance that before would have not been accepted as such. For example, climate change is a huge threat to this tiny country due to these natural conditions that put it into a vulnerable position. Interdependence has been crucial for Mauritius to thrive as a young and small country. It is highly participative, purposeful, and it takes a leadership role when it's possible at different international scenarios.
That's it for today's program. Thank you to all our viewers and keep watching international news. Have a good day.